Morning, Councilmember Glass.
Good morning.
Councilmember Reamer advises me that he's on a call that is running long, but he is not asking us to wait. So I think we can begin. Is everybody else ready?
Yep.
Great. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Transportation and Environment Committee. Today's work session is on the funding for the replacement of the fire detection and suppression system in the county's transfer station. The council received this request from the county executive on September 21st, and a public hearing followed on October 13th. Mr. Levchenko will go into greater detail, and we appreciate his great packet, but there are many safety concerns regarding the current fire detection and suppression system. The current system is over 30 years old. DEP has taken steps to address the safety problems, but they were not able to prevent the tragic on-site death of a contractor last July. So it's certainly time for us to discuss a new fire detection and suppression system. And as noted in the packet, retrofitting the current system would unfortunately not meet current fire code requirements. Total cost of the project, $6 million. FY21 capital budget special appropriation is $4.7 million. Looking forward to the discussion. Welcome, Ms. Pubar. Mr. Levchenko.
Well, you provided a pretty good summary, but let me elaborate a little bit.
Yes.
According to DEP, the transfer station does experience, I noted in the packet, about 16 fires a year on average. The most common fires are related to or associated with the tipping floor and pit areas, and as DEP has noted and can discuss, a significant issue is batteries that are in the trash, and these are not just the intense lithium-ion NiCad type batteries, but also just general alkaline batteries can also create or exacerbate fire situations. So DEP will talk more about that later. But as you mentioned, the current fire detection and suppression system is over 30 years old. It cannot provide sufficient water capacity or pressure, and also does not provide non-water-based suppression, which is needed for many fires, especially those involving batteries. So they have to use water trucks and portable fire extinguishers to address those issues. And then also, as you mentioned, they did look at trying to patch up the current system or retrofit the current system. But based on their discussions with the county's insurance provider, that would not meet the requirements, the fire code requirements, and also just to note that DPS had issued a notice of violation. So this is not just an issue of good housekeeping, but it is something that has been documented as something that needs to move forward in a timely manner. I've noted the scope of work, and DEP can get into a lot more detail with this. But it's pretty comprehensive. Page 2 of the packet bullets these items out. You can see it ranges from new alarm panels, replacing and adding sprinkler systems in the various zones in the tipping floor and pit areas. It also includes a new nitrogen generator system to supply the dry pipe zones. This would enable the non-water suppression that I mentioned. And a couple other significant items. So these are all pretty, this would be a new system. It is intended to be done in phases and after regular business hours to minimize disruption at the facility. That's important since this is a 7-day-a-week, very, very busy facility. And that does get into the issues that you had alluded to, which is general safety issues at the transfer station. Fires are one element, but it is a significant, broader safety challenge at the transfer station because of the range of activities and the sheer volume of business there. So you have a lot of people coming and going in different directions, dealing with different materials. You've got multiple contractors on the site working various or very different and sometimes potentially dangerous jobs, as we've discussed. And that culminated with the death of a contractor in July of 2019. I noted in the packet that after that incident, DEP established a safety working group to comprehensively look at safety issues on the site across all of the contractors and employees working there. And they meet regularly and have addressed issues such as communication protocols, an analysis of various positions and work duties on the site in an attempt to mitigate risk for those specific jobs. They've also worked to improve signage and traffic queuing, and also updated the intergovernmental agreements with the contractors to enhance some of the safety provisions. And one other element I wanted to mention, getting back to the issue of the fires, given the problem with batteries exacerbating fires on the site, DEP is launching a pretty significant education and outreach campaign to modify behavior with regard to batteries. For many, many years, basically you had batteries, you had the car batteries and the lithium-ion batteries that were separated from the regular trash stream, but there was not a concerted effort to separate alkaline batteries, for instance, from the trash stream. And those are obviously ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They're in consumer products. They're just all over the place. So that is a significant change in behavior that DEP is working to address, and separating that from the regular trash stream. And that, that will be a significant effort and a major change for residents and businesses to adapt to. As you noted, the total cost of the system is $6 million with a $4.7 million supplemental appropriation, which is the FY21 estimated cost. In terms of funding, the executive is recommending reallocating some current revenue in the solid waste disposal fund that had been reserved for the Goody landfill remediation project. That project is because of the cost increase in that project that we had previously discussed. That project will be utilizing some solid waste bond funds, but some of the current revenue can be reallocated from that project. So there's no immediate fiscal impact in FY21. However, the solid waste fund, disposal fund itself, will be revisited in the spring as part of the budget, and we will have to look at the implications of this then in terms of future impacts. So we will have to go into that, and there's a lot of moving parts with the solid waste disposal fund, so it's difficult to say what this impact would be in 2 or 3 years, but it will obviously have to be accommodated as part of the solid waste disposal fund. It does not directly impact county general funds because it is separate. It's a separate enterprise fund, but it is a fund that we have to balance each year. I think staff is recommending approval of the project, I think for obvious reasons, but if the committee folks have additional questions, we have a number of staff here from DEP that can address the specific fire detection system issues as well as broader safety issues on the site and those initiatives. So I'll leave it to the committee members if they have any follow-up questions or additional material they'd like to go through.
Councilmember Glass, a question?
Yeah, I just have some very basic overarching questions that I don't think were in the packet, because clearly what we're trying to do is make sure that county staff and contractors and all those who are using this facility are able to do so safely, right? But what...
Well, as well as the public.
Well, yes, right, that's what I meant. All those using the facility, correct, absolutely. But the question I just have is, when was this original system installed? How new is it that it needs, that it was either installed improperly, or I don't want to assign the reason why we're in this situation, but just want to know how long this has been an ongoing problem.
Well, the current system is over 30 years old, so it is, I think, by any measure beyond its useful life. It has been patched up. But it also, the scope of what the system was designed to handle is not consistent with what DEP feels it needs to handle now. But I think DEP can speak little more directly to those issues. Patty or Jeff?
Yes.
Hi, Beth.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions and your interest, and thank you for Keith taking the time to come out and visit us last week and tour the facility, and thank you for the excellent packet that you did, Keith. So just a couple, just opening to address Mr. Hooker's comments, and then I'll turn it over to Jamie Foster, who is our project manager for this, and then we have Jeff Camera, who's the acting section chief, who's also on the call. But just some general observations or comments I'd like to make is the system is old. It is not up to code. That was part of the reason for the NOV that was issued by the Department of Permitting Services. But we work very closely with the Office of Risk Management and Fire and Rescue Service to ensure that we have workarounds in place so that if there is, a large fire that may cause some of these systems to be needed, we do have workarounds. But that's not the best way to handle a facility that takes care of so much trash on a daily basis. So this project will basically put us into a more sustainable capacity where we've actually got a detection and suppression system that meets code and is, competent or is has all that we need to be able to handle any anticipated situations. Because as Keith had said, we do have fires at the facility, and that's not unusual to have fires in trash. However, it's something that, we want to do our best to prevent those from happening, but also ensure that we have the capability to handle them if and when they do happen. So on the prevention side, as Keith said, we're really trying to work hard to understand, the causes of the fires. Batteries are a main culprit a lot of times, and believe it or not, as Keith said, lithium batteries in kids' toys can be a cause of alkaline batteries in kids' toys. So we're trying to start our education campaign. Actually, we launched it yesterday with a video and lots of social media posts, and we'll be doing a series of those videos to help ensure that the public is aware of it. But I'm going to turn it over to Jamie to just talk a little bit about kind of the scope of this, but also to answer your questions, Mr. Glass, about the age of the system and what the system will do.
Thank you, Patty. So the scope of this project includes 3 fire panels. The 3 fire panels will be installed in the tipping floor as well as the annex, and then we'll have one installed in the office building there to protect not only the staff, but the IT systems that we have in place. We have servers there that help support the scale house and the electronic systems that we have over at the scale house. In addition to the alarm panels, we're planning to install over 800 sprinkler heads, and these will be replacing the old sprinkler heads that we have in place now. And these will also be able to accommodate the water pressure that we're planning to bring to this site with the new water tank and the water pump. So with this new design, we will be FM Global, which is the insurance company. We will be compliant with their requirements as well as DPS's requirements for the NOV.
Okay, I appreciate the explanations, Ms. Bubar and Mr. Foster, and clearly with a system that is 30 years old, we need to update it, modernize it for the incredible usage that this facility has today. And so I'm supportive of this and appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Foster. I guess for you and Ms. Bubar, the packet mentions intergovernmental agreements with MES, and I guess that's a contract with Covanta, right? Have been revised to enhance safety provisions. Can you elaborate on what they're going to do differently to enhance safety, and obviously on aside from the additional equipment?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So there's 3 contractors that do the operations at the footprint at the transfer station. Covanta is responsible for accepting the waste and getting the waste on the rail cars up to the Dickerson facility. So the scope of their work includes that. And that work is done under a agreement with the Northeast Waste Disposal Authority. So there is not a direct contractual relationship between Covanta and the county. That is done through the Northeast Waste Disposal Authority, and then we have an intergovernmental agreement with the Northeast Waste Disposal Authority. MES is the second contractor. That is a direct contractual relationship through an intergovernmental agreement between MES and the county. And then there's a company called Clean Harbors, which operates our household hazardous waste facility, which is where we're telling the public to take all the batteries because that will ensure that they are safely disposed and kept out of the waste stream. So each of, and that is a direct contract. The county has a direct contract with Clean Harbors. So each of those kind of contractual relationships require their own set or own methodology for oversight. So with Covanta, what we're doing to ensure continued improvement in safety is working with the authority and with Jeff Cameras, the acting section chief, to basically go through what are the requirements that are in the agreement between the authority and Covanta in terms of safe operations and ensuring that the county is getting all the information that we need from Covanta to ensure that they are operating safely. We're looking at those those requirements and trying to make it clear, tighten them up if necessary, but also improve kind of the reporting relationship and information that comes from Covanta so that on a daily basis, we hold them accountable through the authority to do what they're supposed to do. So as an example of that, one of the things that we're really focusing on is getting the tipping floor cleaned every night. By the end of the day or by the end of operations for one day before we start the next day, ensure that whatever was brought in is off the floor, because that can actually be a cause of a fire if you let that stuff sit overnight and then you bring more stuff in the next morning. And so we have instituted a requirement that on the daily reports that Covanta sends, they have to send us information, and we also have video pictures too to confirm that material is moving off the tipping floor every night, so that we are removing that as a cause of a fire. So that's just an example of kind of using the contractual relationship as a tool to ensure that the contractors are doing what they're supposed to be doing. With MES and the intergovernmental agreements with them, we actually have 3 of them, so we're kind of methodically working our way down, but we've modified one of those intergovernmental agreements to really put very clear expectations about how they are to operate safely. Ensure that there's clarity that they must follow the OSHA guidelines, ensure that there's clarity on what they report to us, and we're kind of making it clear with all the contractors that when something does happen, they have to submit an incident report to us. They have to submit a root cause analysis so that we understand what happened, what caused that, we learn lessons, and we're doing the same with Clean Harbors. We actually just put that contract in place with Clean Harbors, and so we used that as an opportunity to make sure that there were clear safety expectations and that we're holding them accountable for meeting those expectations. So it's a complicated governance structure that kind of makes it a little bit challenging, but we're just really, really paying attention to making sure that all 3 of the contractors understand and have clear expectations. We hold them accountable. And then through the safety working group that Keith had mentioned that we formed back in July of 2019, and we have been meeting weekly since then, we look across the site, across all 3 contractors, and try to ensure that, when you're looking at all the operations, are we sharing information? Are we learning lessons? Take the stovepipes down. It doesn't matter, that you work for a different corporation. We're all about keeping that place safe. And so we use the safety working group as an opportunity to share information and ensure that we're all learning lessons going forward.
Thank you. Can you share with us how many contract employees are involved in this for Covanta, for MES, and for Clean Harbors?
Meaning involved in all the operations?
Yeah, how many workers are we talking about generally, and who has the bulk of them?
That's I'm not going to give you the answers off the top of my head. So let me get back to you on that. Covanta has a lot of people on site, and then of course they have people operating the Dickerson facility. MES has a lot of people on site because they do our grinding operations as well as our recycling facility, but they also subcontract out the recycling operations to a company called Colossal. So I can get you numbers as to the number of employees for Covanta, MES, including subcontractors, if that's helpful, as well as Clean Harbors. Clean Harbors probably has about 4 people on site, so they're the smallest. But I will get you those numbers.
Oh, just 4, okay, yeah. So I'm going to come back to that. So the safety working group determined the scope of what needs to be done to enhance and update the suppression system, correct?
What will,
yes. I mean, if we have taxpayers watching who say, where are we going to find, and you've explained that, $6 million in the middle of the recession, why is this a priority? Is this larger than it needs to be? It might be something we hear.
Well, Jamie Foster, as the project manager, has been, involved. He's been the main person dealing with, the DPS, with FM Global, with Fire and Rescue Service. So I'll let Jamie speak a little bit about how this got scoped.
Yes. So initially, we were planning to retrofit the existing system, as Keith mentioned before. When we submitted those plans to FM Global, they provided comments about how the plan was deficient in terms of addressing NOV requirements as well as insurance requirements. So we had to take that retrofitting design plan and make it more robust in order to comply with those requirements from FM Global and also from DPS from the NOV. And then also too, based on the safety working group meetings, there were some other issues related to the battery fires that we discussed. And that is why we installed new hose reels and also like a fire rover per se, which is a dedicated pump and also a dedicated fire extinguisher. It's a very robust type of fire extinguisher that we'll have installed in the tipping floor. So then that way we'll have direct suppression while we wait for the response from the fire department.
And if I may add, maybe, I don't know whether this was where you were going, Mr. Hooker, but through the safety working group, but also just through, more focused kind of management, we really are getting complete clarity. This is something that I feel very responsible about in defining roles and responsibilities and taking this is a county facility, right? This is a huge asset of the county's. Contractors operate it, but the county needs to feel responsible for ensuring that the taxpayers are getting the best operations and the best for their money. So really kind of working with the county staff to ensure that we have clear functional roles. It's clear, kind of what the contractor is supposed to be doing. We're providing oversight of that contractor so that really ensuring that the county feels ownership, that this is our facility. We've got to make sure that it is being operated safely, being operated in a way that is efficient for the customers, and just kind of really reinforcing that every day through strong management.
Thank you. How does the annual volume now compare to 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
The volumes continue to increase pre-COVID. Since COVID or during COVID, those numbers have been a little bit different. Obviously, the commercial volume has been way down. The residential volume has been up. But when you look at it, the volumes do continue to increase. Our population is continuing to increase, and the volumes of waste that we're receiving are also increasing. We're trying to kind of also have some, major recycling initiatives put in place so that we have more going to the recycling stream instead of in the trash stream. But yeah, our volumes of waste, have been increasing over the years. But COVID has given us a little bit of a blip in that.
Sure.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, the resource recovery facility volume has ticked up a little bit over the last decade. Some of that, it certainly does sort of go up and down with the economy in some degree. So as the economy builds up, so does trash. But that's even been while DEP has been identifying additional sources to divert from the trash system. So the trash is still ticking up a little bit. But the more diversion you do, the more complicated things get at the transfer station as you have more items being broken up into different bundles and having to be delivered to different places on the site. You also have the material recovery facility on that, basically on that same site, and those volumes are also exceeding the capacity of that facility. So we have some sizing issues we have to deal with and renovation of that facility to consider also in the next few years.
So despite our efforts to expand the types of products that can be recycled and encourage the public to reduce their overall waste, the per person tonnage every year per resident is still been increasing, right?
I don't know if per capita, we've had an increase in population as well, so I don't know if the per capita has gone up. Okay. We can actually get those numbers. but the total volume has ticked up a little bit.
Sure. Okay. And I think, finally, I think the battery recycling education campaign is great. We're all using many more and different types of batteries than we were, I'm sure, 10 years ago. Can you remind us, it was my recollection that we used to have a neighborhood hazardous waste drop centers or trucks that would come around on weekends to middle schools and neighborhoods. And what's the status of that?
I'm going to turn to Jeff. We don't do that, and I don't have the history to know if we would have done that in the past. So, Jeff, do you have anything you can add to that?
Yes, the county used to have those collections that you were talking about, and then since then, the county went with a permanent household hazardous waste facility for the residents. As one of the trade-offs, and again, it was before my time with the county, but it's my understanding that as one of the trade-offs of staffing the HHW facility 83 hours a week, that we did away with the satellite collection areas to make it more broadly scoped for the residents.
Okay, thanks. So, yeah, I'm not crazy. Okay. And I've looked up the call to recycle.org, even just putting in Silver Spring. It's good to know you can recycle batteries places I think I knew about, like the Ace Hardwares in Silver Spring and Tacoma Park and Home Depot, and Sears. So we're grateful to those retailers. But I think there's more retailers doing that now than there used to be, right? But I ask because I'm wondering what the trade-offs are if there's more people putting batteries in the trash, so that they don't have to go to the trouble of driving to the transfer station.
Yeah, actually, we made sure that link was on our website when we started this campaign so that people don't all feel, because it steers them, the campaign says, bring these to the household hazardous waste facility, but also gives a link to our website and we put that information on there where there are other places to drop batteries off for safe, disposal. Our next campaign is going to be associated with recycling of electronics with batteries in them. So kind of help people understand that that you can recycle electronics with, most probably generally lithium batteries, and those can be safely taken care of. And we're also looking into maybe doing curbside collection of electronic equipment so that we can make that easier for people to ensure that those are safely handled.
You're looking at starting curbside collection?
For electronics, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, that's not in this budget year in FY21,
Right.
but, as an initiative to help improve recycling and make it easier for the residents.
With current contractors or?
Well, we are about to issue an RFP for the areas in the northern part of the county, what we call areas 9 through 13. Their recycling contracts are going to be up a year from now, and so we're finalizing an RFP to go out to basically have new contracts put in place for that area. So we can consider that as part of that scope.
Okay, great.
If I could hop in here real quick, because I'm intrigued by that new, the new program idea, which clearly my colleague, Mr. Hucker, was intrigued by it too. Without getting too far ahead of ourselves, or I'll speak for myself here, not knowing what the fiscal forecast is, I've always thought that it could be beneficial to do an electronic collection, similar to the way that communities or even the county or nonprofits do paper shredding, having one day in one community where people can come out and put their batteries and put their old video game systems, whatever it might be, which might be simpler, I don't know, might be more cost effective than adding it into the actual system. But the fact that we're thinking in that direction and that you're at least looking towards it is a very good thing.
Right. Let no one say we're not taking care of the Up County, right, Councilman Glass?
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I live in the Up County. Thank you.
Right. Aha! Now we understand.
And so does Mr. Lovchenko too.
Yes. Okay. Well, don't forget about us down here. Let me ask, since we're on this topic. I remember bringing my household hazardous waste to Silver Spring International Middle School, and they had a system to check driver's licenses to make sure we were residents, for example. And it's a shame a program like that has gone away. I wonder, Ms. Bubar, if you've ever considered a sort of pilot program where, the hardware stores seem to have, if we had just even drop boxes at rec centers or our regional service centers, so people engaging with county services, it wouldn't be, they would take a long time to fill up, and it wouldn't seem to add much to have our current contractors empty them and bring them to the transfer station. But we might keep more batteries out of the trash that way.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Certainly, we have lots of residents that don't have a car and aren't going to be taking a bus to the transfer station. And I fear that they're going to all end up in the trash and causing fires on your tipping floor.
Yes, that's a great idea.
That's what we do here in T&E. We have great ideas. Okay. Well, unless Mr. Glass has anything else, I think we can approve this without objection.
Great.
Okay.
I can follow up with Councilmember Reamer. I assume he didn't have any further issues.
He told me not to wait, and he can always bring them up in full council, certainly, and talk to you privately, certainly.
Sure.
Great. Thank you again for your
Okay.
interest.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Care.
Have a good morning.
Bye.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.